Hello friends, today's topic is meditation and problem solving. I apologize to you for this astonishingly boring backdrop as well as my squeaky chair. This is what we have to work with today. Meditation and problem solving.
Now hold on a second. This is Caveat Jack, and Caveat Jack has something to say. Oh my gosh, Caveat Jack, I didn't know you'd be making an appearance. What is it that you have to say? Caveat Jack has this to say. Perhaps you have heard the old saying that Zazen is good for nothing. If you have entered into a Zen Buddhist practice, you are not looking for a life hack. You are not looking for a special success pill. You are not in a self-improvement project. You are in a self-dissolution project. By golly, thanks, Caveat Jack. I'd almost forgotten that.
In other words, at least in the Zen school that I cut my teeth in, you don't sit down on a cushion to solve particular problems. You sit on the cushion to dissolve the ego or the fixated sense of self that clings to the idea of solutions and answers and self and other in the first place. So now that we've gotten all of that out of the way, I actually completely want to pivot now and talk about how Zen, and especially koan practice and sitting with, being inside koans helped me learn how to solve problems in life. Everything from creative problems to personal problems. Hit it! One of the most useful things I realized during koan practice was that I wasn't taking the question seriously. You may think you know what the problem is, but if you did, you would probably already have an answer to it, because one of the insights that one eventually experiences through koan practice is that there essentially is no fundamental difference between cause and effect, or the question and the answer. They're not even two sides of the same coin. They're both sides of the same coin. You think you know what the question is, but you probably don't. You're probably extremely uncomfortable with the fact that you don't have an answer or a solution to this problem. You're so uncomfortable with that fact that you're not willing to sit with the question or the problem until you begin to feel the flavor of and see the contours of your own ignorance or not knowing. So when certain Zen teachers talk about don't know mind, manifesting don't know mind, I think this is what they're talking about. You have to be willing to sit with not knowing. And then the question becomes clear. This is how I'm ignorant. This is what I don't know. So it's very personal and very specific and very deep. Chances are you have a superficial understanding of the question, and that's why you're stuck. We're really uncomfortable with not knowing. That's what we avoid, whether it's on the cushion or it's in life. And that's why we don't know the true question, because we don't know our own ignorance. When I was doing koan practice, I was just throwing anything out at my teacher. Anything whatsoever, because I just wanted to answer the koan and move on. I wanted to have the problem solved. I wanted to be a good Zen student. I wasn't actually really invested in the problem that he was presenting me. Learn how to ask the right question. Take the question seriously. Embody its contradictions and the not knowing, and then manifest a resolution. Okay, great. So how do you do this? What I'd like to do now is just take a quick look at Joshu's Mu, which is a very famous beginner's koan. Sometimes it's one of the first koans you get in Rinzai Zen practice. Take a look at that and take a look at this don't know mind from the perspective of Muman, who was a Zen master who gave a commentary on the Mu koan. So Muman, the Zen master, comments, enlightenment always comes after the road of thinking is blocked. If you do not pass the barrier of the patriarchs, or if your thinking road is not blocked, whatever you think, whatever you do, is like a tangling ghost. He says if you want to pass this barrier, you must work through every bone in your body, through every pore in your skin, filled with this question. In this case, the question is, what is Mu? In your case, the question is, whatever your question is, that's your koan, that's your Mu. So then Muman says the most important part of this koan for this current discussion. He says, if you really want to pass this barrier, you should feel like drinking a hot iron ball that you can neither swallow nor spit out. So this is a very key and a very famous saying. The koan, or the question that you have, the problem that you bring to your meditation sit, is like a ball of molten iron, right? And you're holding it right here at your diaphragm, your breathing center. Now, you cannot fully digest or absorb this problem into your bloodstream, i.e., you can't forget about it. You can't come up with some half-ass answer that's going to solve it. Nor can you vomit it out. Nor can you expel it completely from your system. Nor can you say, I'm done thinking about this problem, to hell with it, I'm not going to deal with it. So you're holding it in between these two extremes, and you just hold it. You're just doing your breathing practice. Somewhere in the back of your head, you have the intention to address or hold or perhaps even solve this question, but you're not consciously trying to do it. It's like when you hold a child, a little baby, that's crying and crying and crying. What can you do for that child? The child needs to cry it out. Its diaper is changed and it's fully fed, and you're holding it. So there's nothing else you can do. The problem is it needs to cry, so you hold it, right? Gently, firmly, strongly. It's not easy to hold a crying, screaming baby or a crying, screaming problem, but you hold it like Muman's molten ball of fire in your diaphragm, or that little crying baby. You hold it. You hold it. You hold it. And you do your breath practice. You breathe into and out of that not knowing, that unease, into and out of. You're always embodying the problem instead of letting it crawl up here where the mind begins to pick at it and peck at it and pick at it and peck at itself as the mind does. One thing that I like to do when I sit with a problem is take my notebook and have it next to me on my bed where I sit. So right next to you, wherever you sit, you got your notebook, you got your pen, okay? And before I start the sit, I'll write out maybe a few lines, very sincere and very focused about what I think the problem is. And then I'll put the notebook right next to me on the bed where I sit. Now, this is just kind of a prop. I will set my timer, my meditation timer, and I will not touch my pen or my notebook until that timer goes off. But just having the notebook there and the pen there tells me that it's okay to sit now. I know this problem is really bothering you and you want to lie in bed and think about it instead of doing your meditation practice, but now we're addressing this problem in your meditation practice. So it's kind of a prop. It's a way of telling my mind that it's okay. It's okay to sit now. It's okay to meditate. It's okay to let the problem go because you're working on it. You're breathing into it. You're exhaling it out. You're breathing in. You're exhaling it out. You're working with the problem. You're holding it, caressing it, giving it a pacifier, wiping its bottom, feeding it Gerber baby food, and you're trying to solve the problem in a different way than the usual perseverating, logical, worrying, anxious, human problem-solving mind that we usually bring to problem solving. So, to summarize, you and I come from gases that were floating around in the universe billions of years ago from a Big Bang that is like, I think it's like 13.5 or 14 billion years old, right? Conflicts, tensions, temperatures, and pressures that gave rise to the universe give rise to us every moment of every day. The human condition is, wow, intense. We come to the meditation cushion to get some relief from this human condition, the cosmic drama. But sometimes relief comes from facing our problems directly. And meditation, Zazen, is a beautiful way of doing that. Koan practice showed me how. First of all, sit with and get clear on the actual question, the actual problem. Become comfortable with the feeling of not knowing. Hold that feeling inside you like a burning molten ball of lead. Breathe into it, breathe out of it. Focus, manifest, embody just that feeling of not knowing. This feeling, this fire, this molten fire burns away the mind that wants easy solutions and easy answers. Burns away the fear, burns away the anxiety. Burns brightly, so brightly that eventually you have your answer. Bing! It comes to you. That's how a koan comes to you. And it's usually the answer was sitting right in front of you all along. You just had to see it clearly, which you couldn't do because you were full of thoughts, ego, self, the thinking mind. The answer is always there all along. To every koan that I ever manifested an answer to, it was the simplest, easiest thing in the world. It was like I came into a place where I was already standing, only I was standing there for real. So normally I don't like to talk about meditation or zazen as being something that's useful and helpful in things like solving personal or creative problems. But it would be dishonest for me to sit here and pretend like I don't use Zazen to help me with deep, difficult personal problems. And I think you can use it as a tool as well. Just kind of be careful because meditation, Zazen is wily. And once you try and grab a hold of it and put it in your hip pocket, as my mentor used to say, it ain't gonna work. If you like what you see here, you can hit the subscribe button and hit the like button. Also in the video description below, if you want to support this channel, I've got a link to my PayPal page where you can throw a tip in the hat, or you can come to Patreon. And I have videos up there, I have essays, I have blog posts, all kinds of great stuff there for you to check out. Me and my beautiful fig ficus plant, thank you for joining us. Happy problem solving, Zensters.